y'all better listen up, because if you're a stay-at-home mom, this can happen to you.
Wife content suddenly blowing up because people my age that were traditional wives.
Boy, can I speak on this.
All these women love to say, oh, I'm a stay-at-home mom because I trust my husband. Like, y'all are just planning for a divorce. You're this. I think what a lot of women are forgetting, specifically stay-at-home moms, is what if your husband becomes disabled?
I have been a stay-at-home mom since the end of 2021.
A lot of women are still getting bamboozled as stay-at-home moms and being left in divorces with absolutely fucking nothing to their name.
So I wanted to share with you guys a story of when I was a recruiter. And I'm only telling you guys this because I saw a video that I couldn't stitch about this girl talking about being a stay-at-home mom. And
what's up, everyone? Welcome back to my channel, and you're most welcome to today's episode. So today we are looking at the risks involved in being a stay-at-home wife or a stay-at-home mom. And of course, most of the women wish they could be traditional wives or stay-at-home wives or moms, but in today's economy, it's something else. So we have some video clips from TikTok that we are going to watch of a woman who was a stay-at-home mom, and a divorce came out of nowhere. She wasn't prepared. She had no job. She wasn't earning. She didn't have any backup. But there came the divorce. And then also we have some people who are, of course, giving their opinions. We are going to watch these clips together, understand what it really means or what risks may be involved in deciding to sacrifice your career in order to become a stay-at-home wife or a stay-at-home mom. Then we shall give our thoughts in the comments. And without wasting much time, hit that like button, subscribe if you're new here, and let's get started. I'll catch up with you after these clips are played.
So y'all want to know the scariest thing, and it's happening to me now, is being a female, married. I'm 37. I have 2 kids. They're 5 and 7. And I've been a stay-at-home mom for the past 10 plus years. I have no income. I have no money. I use my husband's credit card and I use my husband's money. And 2 weeks ago, he told me that he wants to move forward with divorce. Today, I literally, like, I use an American Express credit card for everything. It's got my name on it, but obviously he pays the bill. He told me he's gonna cut it off, and I gotta, like, move all the automatic payments and stop using it. And he said, you need to start using your own card now. What card? I don't have a card. That is my card. Terrifying. I mean, I feel like a little girl who needs their mommy because I don't know how to take care of myself. I don't, like, it's just terrifying. Terrifying. Thank God he's letting me live in his house. And I say his house because it is his house, because when we got married, he told me that my name isn't going to go on the deed because he doesn't want to put that debt on me. But I'm getting to live in his house. I'm getting to stay in his house, thank God. Other than that, like, I get to, have somewhere to sleep, but, like, how do I feed my kids? How do I feed myself? Oh my gosh. I need my mom. I need my mommy to come and take care of me. That's it. That is terrifying. As a 30-year-old, like, in your 30s, you're a mother. Like, I have 2 kids to take care of, and I don't even know how I'm supposed to take care of this. That is terrifying. And I'm like, the only thing that I can think about is the fact that I have to be a big girl now. It's time to grow up. And I've been playing Big Girls Don't Cry over and over and over again on YouTube on my phone. Big girls do cry. Y'all better listen up, because if you're a stay-at-home mom, this can happen to you. Yesterday, I learned something quite disturbing. So, we all know I've been a stay-at-home mom for the past 7 years. I haven't made income. And get this. So, my ex has asked the judge to impute my income, meaning let's pretend that for the past 7 years I've been working and making income. Because I am physically able and because I'm physically able to work and chose to be a stay-at-home mom and chose to be unemployed, he now wants my income imputed, meaning we're just gonna pretend like I've been bringing home a paycheck for the past 7 years. How is that even fair? First of all, I stayed home to raise our kids, and now you want the judge to pretend that I've been bringing home income this whole time so that your child support can be lower. Y'all, it is absolutely insane that this can happen as a stay-at-home mom. Because you are physically able to go out and work, you just chose not to. If you go through a divorce, they can impute your income, meaning they can just pretend like you've been working and making income this whole time. I mean, what? Let's chat about invisible labor. I should have been being paid this whole time as a stay-at-home mom, and now, since I wasn't, now we have to pretend like I was. It's wild to me. I'm just shocked.
All these women love to say, oh, I'm a stay-at-home mom because I trust my husband. Like, y'all are just planning for a divorce. You're this. I think what a lot of women are forgetting, specifically stay-at-home moms, is what if your husband becomes disabled? What if your husband dies out of nowhere while your children are young? It happens all the time. It's an unfortunate scenario. There are so many people who do not have life insurance policies, and this is not an ad for life insurance, but there are so many people who don't have life insurance policies because they think, oh, I'm too young, I don't need that. And as the woman, you are now left with all of these bills and a giant gap in your resume. Ginormous gap. And look, I'm a woman of faith. I understand that inevitably God will provide, but that is not without hardship. And I think that you should be setting yourself up for success. If you do not want to work outside of the home because you want to spend as much time with your children as possible, make sure your finances are set up. If your husband does not make a lot of money and you are scraping by, at least set up a life insurance policy, bare minimum, because you never know what could happen, let alone divorce. I know a lot of people don't believe in divorce, and I understand that, but plan for if something happens to your husband. It's an unfortunate scenario. Nobody likes to think about it, but it's one of those things where it unfortunately happens to the people who don't expect it. Nobody expects their husbands to die.
Wife content suddenly blowing up because people my age that were traditional wives.
Boy, can I speak on this. Grandmother, stay at home. Mom, stay at home. Me, followed right in their footsteps. 1995, got married. 1997, had my first baby. 2000, had my second. 2004, had my third. No career, no education beyond a high school diploma. It is what I wanted. Having no understanding of the consequences that I'm now facing as a result of that choice. All while my now ex-husband made me feel guilty because I wasn't contributing to the financial household, but yet wanted all of the things done at home as a stay-at-home wife does. He wanted both. And I didn't work outside the home. Then later, as my kids got a little bit older and in school, and the youngest one was like Mother's Day out programs and stuff, I would do housekeeping and anything to bring a little extra money in to our household income. But yeah, no education beyond a high school diploma, no effort to make any kind of career moves moving forward. And then fast forward to 2016, we're divorced, and I'm starting at the bottom with no job experience, even though I had managed a household, albeit sometimes the financial part was very poorly. That's a whole nother topic. And raised 3 children. And now I'm 49 years old, and I'm struggling financially because I don't have 20 years of work experience on top of the most recent 10 years. So I should have 30 years of work experience. Don't have that. I have 10. Now my job is being eliminated at my current employer. I have 6 months. I have a retention bonus plus severance after that, and then I've got to find something else. In spite of the fact that I have been trying to get out of this company for multiple years because I have been so very unhappy in this role. And even moving internally in my company, I haven't been able to do that either because they want a degree. They want some type of college education on a resume, and I don't have that. Being a stay-at-home mom is both rewarding and extremely sacrificing. My girls, I was always there for them. Got them to school, got them home. They rarely had to ride the bus. Doctor's appointments, piano lessons, sick, I was home. Anytime they needed anything, I was their caretaker. Their dad was there. He was not a terrible dad. He was supportive as a parent. Although when I wanted to go do something for myself and get out and have some fun with my friends, I was always, I gotta stay home and babysit kind of thing. No, these are your kids. You're not babysitting. You're parenting. At the time, I didn't have that verbiage. I didn't have that vocabulary because I didn't understand that what he was saying was not okay because it's what I had known all my life. My mom stayed at home. She didn't work outside the home until she was older. Then my dad died at 54 years of age and left her a widow. For the next 20 years, that woman struggled. So whether it's divorce or death, trad wives, we're in this economy, especially. Our parents did not experience the same thing that we're experiencing in the 80s. The job market, things were so much better in the 80s than it is right now. Yeah. So if you're going to be a trad wife, and if that's what you want, and again, that is what I wanted, but it's also all that I knew, and I did not have a college education, and for me to try to work and pay daycare, it was pointless because I wasn't making enough money to justify paying for the daycare. I was basically working to pay daycare is what I would have been doing. Because again, I was making just above minimum wage because I had no skills to even give me that higher dollar amount. And then I got married and had kids, and then I wasn't working. So, yeah. If you're going to be a trad wife, prepare yourself. I wish I had known then what I know now. I wish I had had people like me telling me what I'm telling you now. Don't rely on your significant other to take care of your needs forever because shit happens.
A lot of women are still getting bamboozled as stay-at-home moms and being left in divorces with absolutely fucking nothing to their name because a lot of women suffer from it will never be me. Because for that stay-at-home mom to come on here and say her husband did not put the house in their name, he refused to put the house in her name, put her on any fucking thing. She ain't had a job in God knows how many goddamn years, and now he's like, yep, I'm gonna get a divorce, get your ass out. Or no, he's letting her stay in the house, and she's like, well, at least he's letting me stay in the house. The thing is, it's not that they don't believe that it's gonna happen, it's just, it wouldn't be me. It would never be my man. It will always be y'all man. My man would never. My man would never. And one thing a man gonna do is never the fuck up every single time. And y'all never learn. And you wonder why you don't dance. My man would never. It could never be me because I'm not like those other women. I'm not like those other women. A man will never leave me high and dry. And look at you, high and dry. High and dry. And the crazy part is, right, it would be one thing if when these men divorce these women and who have no job, no way of making a real income because they haven't had a job in 20 fucking years, right? It'd be one thing if the men left the marriage and took the kids with them. No, that man is going to leave the marriage and leave the women with the kids, and y'all don't learn. Y'all see example after example after example after example, but too many of you women think that you are better than every other woman and refuse to acknowledge the fact that men are just horrible.
I have been a stay-at-home mom since the end of 2021. We were having some fertility issues, which I still have not figured out to this day. But we started having kids in 2021, and that's when we decided that I would stay home. He would be the sole provider, and I would stay home with the kids. Things changed when I started having our kids. When I started having our children, that's when things changed. Slowly. It was a gradual change. It was not overnight. The more children that I had and the more that I depended on him financially, that is when things changed. It was like a power dynamic shift that I was kind of I was apprehensive before I decided to stay home. And I remember verbalizing that to him. I told him that in a conversation. I feel like the red flag was that I was not given any reassurance. I was not given a clear cut plan on how to make me feel better about making that decision to stay at home with our children. And for the people that comment and say that on that video I was saying me, I, or he, and like trying to make it separate, listen, you don't reach 15 years of marriage. You don't sacrifice your career. You don't make all of these sacrifices and make it last this long in marriage, thinking about yourself and being a selfish person, a selfish individual. That is not how it works. The marriage would have been over a long time ago. Our shift started when I started having children in 2021. That is when I feel like the power went to his head. So all I was trying to do is warn other women to take heed, be careful. I don't care how good you think that your marriage is at the time of you deciding to stay at home with your children. It does not matter. You should always have your own income. And if I feel like if somebody is telling you that that is selfish, it's not your issue. You have to protect yourself.
So I wanted to share with you guys a story of when I was a recruiter. And I'm only telling you guys this because I saw a video that I couldn't stitch about this girl talking about being a stay-at-home mom and how she would never be a stay-at-home mom again because she had like a failed relationship where, you know, she was given everything and everything was taken from her. So this reminded me of this. When I was a recruiter, I worked for a staffing agency, and you know, I had people come in and apply all the time, and this lady came in one day looking for a job. This lady was beautiful. She's very pretty. She was older. She was maybe like late 50s, early 60s, but she was a beautiful lady. She dressed very well. She had designer stuff, you know, she was very pretty. And you know, when I saw her, my first assumption was, oh, she's probably looking for like an office job. You know, I just assumed that that's what she was looking for. And you know, when it was time for me to interview her, I asked her like, oh, you know, what kind of experience do you have? She told me, I've never had a job. I have no experience. She's like, I've been a mom, stay-at-home mom, like, but I need to work. So I was like, oh, okay, like, let me see how I can help you. Start asking her more questions, blah, blah, blah. So this lady, as I'm talking to her, she seemed so uncomfortable, so ashamed, so embarrassed. And I felt bad because I was like, what's wrong with her, you know? And she just seemed like she needed to talk. And I asked her, are you okay? And she just lets it all out. She's like, I never worked because I was a stay-at-home mom. I have 2 kids. My husband made me good money. My husband treated me like a queen. I never did anything. And my husband left me. She says, my husband left me for someone younger. So she starts telling me that her and her husband knew each other from Mexico, that he, you know, was after her for years, that they knew each other since they were in middle school, high school. She says that he's not attractive, that he's actually very ugly, like in her words, that she thought he was not attractive. But eventually, you know, he won her over. He went to college, had a good career. She stopped going to school because they got engaged. She got married. She got pregnant. She supported him to do all his stuff. He had a really good job. I think she told me he was like an engineer, I think. And you know, she just trusted him. Like, she was set. She thought she was set. She says that she only had 2 kids. Her oldest son was like almost 30, and her youngest was like in his early 20s, and they were both, you know, had left home already. And she says that she just never thought that, you know, her and her husband were ever gonna get separated, that he treated her like a fucking queen. She says until he started talking about building a home in Mexico, that they had already bought like a ranch over there, but they hadn't built anything. So he started like pushing for them to start building. So he convinced her to sell their home because their kids were gone. Like he was always out. Like I guess he would go out a lot on business trips, like work trips. And she says that, you know, she trusted him, so she just did everything that he said. She says that she had no idea how much money they had. She had a credit card, and that was it. She didn't have access to bank accounts. She didn't know anything. She just trusted him with everything. He paid everything. And she says that that, you know, they sold their home. They moved into a small apartment, temporary, because they were going to go to Mexico. They started selling their cars, their boats, their jet skis, quads. She says they had all this stuff. They started selling everything. And he was telling her, I'm sending everything to Mexico to build this home. So she believed them. She says that he left for a business trip, and I guess he was gone longer than normal, and it was like 2 weeks. And she says that in that 2 weeks, she didn't hear from him, and she got served with divorce papers. She says before he left on this trip, everything was fine, like super happy. He was super the same like always. So she was fucking confused. She says that, you know, she tried reaching out to him. He just ignored her completely, left her with a small chunk of money, and that was it. She says that she didn't know anything about divorce, so she didn't get prepared. She didn't get a lawyer. She didn't, you know, get anything. She said she was ashamed to tell her family. She didn't tell no one. She went through it alone. And long story short, she got nothing. She says that she did get, I guess, a small amount of alimony, but she said it's very little. And she says that all their assets were gone, so she didn't get anything. That she says she did bring up the Mexico situation, but I guess he had sent everything to the sister, so the things were under his sister's name. I don't know what he did, but he screwed her over. And she later found out, once their divorce was final, that he was with this younger girl, and I guess they had been together the whole time. They had been together for like years before he filed for divorce, and she had no idea. And this girl was early, like 30s, I think she said. She was younger. She had no kids, you know, blah, blah, blah. And this man is out there in Mexico living his best life with his new wife. And I guess she's pregnant, a whole drama. So this lady's like, I gave up my fucking life. I gave up my career. I wanted to go to school. I wanted to do all these things. And he would always tell me, I got you. Don't worry. You stay at home. Focus on being a mom. Like, don't stress about anything. I got you. I got you. Treated her like a queen. Bought her all these things. Had her set. And boom. Just like that, he left her. So she's like, I can't survive off alimony. She's like, my sons, you know, they already have someone. I guess her older son was already married, and they lived somewhere far. And she talked about her moving in with them, and his wife wasn't very happy about it. So, you know, they ended up not doing it. Her younger son was like, I guess, in and out of college, so he wasn't able to help her. So she said she was renting a room with an old friend and getting by, and she says that she has nothing, and that's why she needed a job. So I ended up sending her somewhere. I forgot where I sent her to work, and she ended up doing really good there. And I think she's still there. Like, she ended up doing really good with that. But it made me realize how some of us sometimes are so naive when it comes to life. Like, we forget how people are so deceiving, and people will switch up on you like nothing. Your own kids, your own partner, your own freaking parents be doing crazy shit. So now imagine you're a partner, someone that's nothing to you. You think they're not gonna switch up on you? My grandma used to always tell me, si vas a trabajar, save money. If you're gonna work, save money. Have your little stash, make your own little, always work on you, because you never know. And it's true. I'm married, happily married, and you know, but I always have that in the back of my mind. Not just that he will, if he does some shit like that, But what if he dies? Like, what if something happens where I have no one? I can't live my life depending on one person. And this is nothing against stay-at-home moms, okay? Because I know a lot of stay-at-home moms that have a lot of shit going for themselves. Like, they work on themselves, they have careers, they still have their own goals and aspirations, but they just, focus on being at home, which is fine. But you always have to remember that no one owes you shit, not even your partner. Your partner could get up and leave you like nothing. And what I thought was the most fucked up part was that she's like, I was so pretty for him. He was ugly. I never thought he would do that to me because he was not it. He was a good man, but he was not attractive like that. So sometimes people think, oh, I'm the catch. Like, he's never gonna leave me. Like, what else is he gonna do? Trust me, there's always someone that would treat your partner better than you. That's just how it is. So for you to think that you're irreplaceable, you're fucking stupid, because that's not how life is. Like, anybody is replaceable. So yeah, just wanted to share with you guys that story to just give you guys a different perspective. Again, this is nothing against stay-at-home moms or anybody that doesn't work, to each their own, but just wanted to share this with you guys so you guys could see the kind of shit that happens out there.
Nobody warns women about this. Of course, they sell a fairy tale to you. Stay home, relax, let your man provide, be soft, be feminine. He will take care of everything. But nobody tells you about when he leaves you, when he cheats on you, when he dies, God forbid, when he loses his job, or when the marriage falls apart. And just imagine, suddenly, maybe you are 40 years, no income, no savings, no work history, and starting life from zero. First of all, being a stay-at-home mom or wife is not something that is bad. In fact, it's one of the hardest jobs in the world. But of course, if you have children, it's worth it, because you will take care of your kids on your own. You will bring them up with your own values as a mother or as a parent. You will understand your children. You will have more time with your children, more bonding with your children. And of course, they will grow up in that family setting that everyone or that every child would wish to. But where it makes it a hard job is when it comes to cooking, cleaning, childcare, emotional support, managing the home, and being 24/7 busy. So you may have no break at all, no salary, and no sick leave or sick days. Although, of course, society acts like you're not working, you're doing your wifely duties, you're doing your mommy duties. The problem is, love is beautiful, marriage is beautiful, but sometimes life becomes unpredictable. And depending 100% on someone financially can become dangerous. So here we are looking at, in cases like maybe your husband got sick and became maybe incapacitated, that he can no longer work, yet he was the sole provider in the house. What happens? If your husband lost a job, what happens? If, say, your husband passed away, but of course, God forbid, what if your husband asked for a sudden divorce, like the way these women's husbands did? Just from nowhere, someone says, we need to divorce, or I'm tired of this marriage. However much you may decide to become a stay-at-home mom or wife, you still need to have some either part-time job or some online job so that you can be earning some money. Then also, remember, when you become a stay-at-home mom or wife, your resume stops moving. Where you stopped, it's where it stops. So if you don't have any part-time job, your resume ends there. Meanwhile, your husband's is growing. And that is when, if things go bad, you get issues. Have you ever gone to apply for a job and then they told you that the gap between when you stopped working and now is so big, so we cannot employ you. Or even sometimes you go back to the job and then the skills that you had before are no longer the skills that are required. Maybe things have advanced. Imagine you've not worked like for 5 years or 10 years. Things are evolving every day. If you were in a regime where they were using like typewriters, you go back when now they are using computers or some advanced technology that you do not understand. So that means you'll have to go back to school and get some more skills and update yourself. So it's tough, but I think people should have some skills. Even if you got married at a younger age, at least when you're in the marriage, continue with your education, further your education or further your studies. Have some agreement with your husband and let him support you to acquire some skills and more qualifications so that you can have something to do even if you are staying at home. Another issue with staying at home just without working, it can be power imbalance. Just imagine he got you as a working woman and then with time he either tells you to become a stay-at-home wife or mom, maybe because he can provide for you financially or everything that you need. Of course, in the beginning, things are so good, everything seems so good, like you're all excited. I'm going to be at home, I'll be taking care of the house, I'll be taking care of my husband, I'll be cooking. My husband will come back home when the house is clean, when everything is ready. And then as time goes on, that excitement begins fading away. He begins having attitude. He begins acting different. Like he begins seeing you as if you are a burden to him just because you're depending on him for everything. You ask even for the basics that you would assume that a grown-up man or person would use his common sense just to provide for you. And then when the time comes, like every month, you have to ask. Then also, some things like you want to buy yourself some things, but because you don't have money, you just have to ask a man for the money. And then, of course, with time, the more you ask, the more he will get nagged also. Of course, some men feel good when someone asks them for money, especially their wives. They feel like they are bosses or whatever. But with the time, it may become nagging to the man. He may begin showing you attitude. And then sometimes even his friends or workmates and family may begin putting words into him. So the good man that you knew may begin changing his ways towards you. Yeah, they will begin saying things like, I pay for everything in this house. Why don't you ever appreciate? It's my money, it's not your money. I'm the one who knows how to use my money. And because he's the one providing, he may begin setting up rules in that house. And things will start falling apart. He will stop using words like our house, our money, our what, He will begin saying my money, my house, my rules. And that is when you will begin feeling nagged and you feel controlled. Her name is not included on the house. Maybe even the car was bought in the man's names. Sometimes that's what they do. They don't put it in your names in the name of saying like, because I'm the one going to be paying for the loan of this house or for the loan of this car, and I don't want to include you on that loan, so only my name will be on. See, that is how they play around with our minds, just because they want to exclude you from their properties. So this is what smart women do. Have savings in your own name, have joint property ownership, life insurance on your partner, learn some online skills, have side hustles or part-time jobs, Keep your certification updated and then know your legal rights. So it's not about making millions, but having something on you. And with that, I'll end this video here. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching, and let's catch up in the next video.